Hello and welcome. In this video today we're going to be discussing bacteria. So bacteria, remember, they are a unicellular organism that, well, in this case, are found almost everywhere. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So remember, bacteria are prokaryotes. Now the plural form of bacteria is bacteria, whereas the singular is bacterium. Presently, the prokaryotes are divided into two different kingdoms, which you know about. The first is archaebacteria, which are ancient and live in harsh environments, and eubacteria, which currently are found everywhere and vital for life functions. These can be both good and bad depending on where they're found and what type of bacteria they are. Ta-da! So, some facts about bacteria. Once again, they are found everywhere. They are incredibly small, much smaller than any cell currently found in our body. They have no membrane structures, or membrane-bound structures, or nucleus. Now usually they're surrounded by a cell wall and have a capsule for additional protection. So think of it like wearing a suit of armor, or rather a coat, and then putting another coat on top of that to keep warm. So it has the cell wall and the capsule for protection. The general structure of a bacteria. So going from the top and working our way counterclockwise here, we have the capsule, the outermost layer, which is used for protection. Then inside that we have the cell wall and the plasma membrane, which are another set of protection for the bacteria. Inside that we have the jelly-like cytoplasm, which goes ahead and holds everything together. We have ribosomes, which are used for creating proteins. We also have plasmids, which are little bits of the DNA that have kind of broken off. We have pili on the outside, which are used for sensing the world around it, as well as kind of affixing or attaching to different surfaces. And then as we go ahead and work our way down, we have the nucleoid in the center, which kind of looks like a clump of spaghetti or curled up yarn, which is the nucleoid, and that is the DNA that has all kind of been clumped together. There's no nucleus to go ahead and contain it, so it's all just kind of clumped up in one spot. And on the backside here, we also have the flagella, or flagellum, the large whip-like structure, which allows the bacteria to go ahead and swim, or move. So bacteria are classified according to their shape. The first type is called coccus, which is the singular, or cocci, which is the plural. Now coccus, these are the spherical type of bacteria. Now these can exist as single cells, they can be together in pairs, or linked as chains, or clusters, so a group of them all kind of gathered together. Some examples include streptococcus, which goes ahead and causes strep throat and things of that nature, as well as staphylococcus, which can cause things like staph infections. So as you can see, the coccus bacteria here in the photo are all kind of clumped together, which is unique to the coccus type of bacteria. Up next, we have the bacillus or bacilli, which are the rod type of bacteria. These exist as single cells, can be in pairs, or linked as chains. However, they cannot exist as clumps. Some examples of this include anthrax, or Bacillus anthracis, as well as Escherichia coli, also known as E. coli, or food poisoning. So as you can see here, they're more rod-like in structure and shape, and they can exist as linked chains, they can exist as pairs, or if you go ahead and take a look here, in the center we actually have one that looks like it's about to go ahead and divide. The final type that we're going to discuss today is called the Spirochetes, or the spiral type of bacteria. Now these can only exist as single cells, and some examples of this include syphilis, as well as the bacteria that causes Lyme's disease. So as you can see here, Spirochetes is known for its spiral-like shape. Bacterial reproduction. Now, all bacteria reproduce asexually. Well, most of the time they do. We'll talk about that in a moment. But for the most part, they reproduce asexually through the process of binary fission. Now, under certain conditions, bacteria can reproduce incredibly fast. A small colony can double in size in about 20 minutes. You can go from bacteria that you can't see with the naked eye to actual physical clumps, which we'll actually get a chance to go ahead and do later on in the year. Anyway, let's continue. So binary fission. Binary fission is the most common type of asexual reproduction. During this type of asexual reproduction, the bacteria doubles all information inside the cell, and then splits to create two daughter cells, each of which are identical to the original. And that's pretty much binary fusion, or fission. Fusion means to come together, fission means to split, so binary fission simply means to cut in half or split in two. Now, sometimes, bacteria can actually go ahead and exchange DNA with other bits of bacteria. This is known as the process of conjugation. So conjugation is when bacteria go ahead and kind of create a little link tube. So one bacteria extends a tube to the other, and they will swap genetic information. This is good because this allows the bacteria to go ahead and get slight variations that might give it a higher chance of survivability if something changes. So conjugation is the ability of bacteria to go ahead and transfer genetic information back and forth. Endospores. Now, bacteria are unique because bacteria can kind of go into a state of suspended animation or dormancy. Now, endospores are a thick covering around the DNA that allows the bacteria to remain dormant or kind of in a state of hibernation for long periods of time, if necessary for many, many years. For example, the anthrax bacteria, which makes it incredibly deadly and quite serious, as well as the bacteria that causes tetanus. So tetanus is the bacteria often found on rust. So if you go ahead and you scrape onto a rusty nail, that bacteria is now inside you. And once it goes ahead and realizes, hey, wait a minute, I like it here, I can go ahead and set up shop, that endospore will dissolve, it comes out of hibernation, and will start to spread, which is normally why if you get connected with anything with rust, you get a tetanus shot, which will go ahead and give the correct antibodies to fight off that infection if it occurs. Finally, not all bacteria is bad. Truth be told, there's a lot of bacteria that cause a lot of great things to happen. Bacteria can help decompose food waste, so it can break things down either outside the body or inside during the digestive tract, produce vitamins and antibodies via genetic engineering. So you can go ahead and actually introduce certain antibodies or vitamins into the bacteria's DNA. And every time it makes a copy, it'll also copy that vitamin or antibody, creating a surplus. Decomposition of dead plants and animals, like we said, helps decompose, can be used in industry and agriculture, and can also be used with plants to convert unusable nitrates and nitrites in the soil into usable form for the plants so the plants can create more DNA. And also, like we said, industry and agriculture, kind of a big deal. So that right there is going to go ahead and summarize bacteria, its uses, and a little bit of information about them. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please go ahead and make sure to question your instructor. They'll put you on the right path. And until next time, you go ahead and take care of yourself, and have a good one.